We are recording.
Woohoo!
Welcome to this haphazard, ass backwards. What the fuck are we doing? Recording of Weird
Shit.
Wednesday. If you aren't following us on Instagram, first of all, you should be. Shame on you.
Come on, guys,
But,
get with it.
It is currently 11:36 p.m. on a Friday night. We have spent the last 5.5 hours, rocking out at a concert that we severely underestimated the length of.
Yeah,
but-
we're going into this thinking, oh, it starts at 6 p.m. These guys know their audience.
Nope.
We'll be out of there by 10. Back at the hotel by 10. No.
We also intended to record this before the concert and then hit the worst traffic I think I've ever driven in.
Yeah, that was...
And then a deluge of like freaking flash flood level rain. So we got here long enough to pee and touch up our makeup before we had to jump in the Uber to go to the concert. So we're recording now because that's how we roll.
Yeah. Shout out to Uber, by the way. This is my first time ever taking an Uber, like
Same.
having to like set it up and like take one myself, and it was seamless. I've always been like low-key terrified of Uber just because you hear of like horror stories, and I know there's things that happen. That would be a fun topic someday. But it was super smooth.
Yeah.
Both our drivers this evening were very nice.
They were lovely.
The one when we were leaving the venue even called me to help me find the car because we were having trouble.
Well, yeah, because they said black SUV, and we're like, there's like 12 black SUVs
There's
outside
12
this
of these
venue.
out here.
So we found him. He was nice. He was patient.
Yes.
We are now back at the hotel. We are staying over, going to the Renaissance Festival tomorrow. Also, because even if we weren't going to the Renaissance Festival tomorrow, my old ass is not driving back tonight.
No.
In the middle of the night because I should be in bed right now.
We're not spring chickens no more, guys, so we love you.
Says the one under 30 still.
I have the bones.
STFU.
I have the bones and the joints of an 80-year-old, so shut the fuck up.
I'm not that far behind you with that. I got the joints of an 80-year-old. My bones are okay for now. Good Lord. But if you hear yawns, if you hear how hoarse our voices are, it's because I just sang for an hour to Evanescence. And may I just say, Amy Lee, you are a goddess. We don't deserve you.
Whatever deal you made with whatever deity or entity, it's working for you.
Because she just gets better with age. She said when we were leaving that it was 22 years ago that the first album came out, which made me feel very old because I realized I bought that album when I was in high school.
That's amazing. It was so cool because every song they did, I think came from a different album, and the logo changed to mimic or to give homage to that album.
It was so well done. We also saw Black Map, Dorothy, and Poppy, who were also lovely. But yeah. And now we're going to speed run this shit because we old and we need sleep.
We sleepy babies. We are up past our bedtimes.
My bedtime was like 39 minutes ago.
My bedtime was 2 hours ago.
Oh, poor sweet thing. But that's okay. It's gonna be fun.
We
We're just
love
gonna be
you
a little
guys.
extra delirious, so
Yes.
buckle in, because Lord knows what's gonna happen with this recording.
It's either going to be the quickest one because we want to go to bed, or it's going to be the longest one because our tired asses get so off track.
I'm going to hope for the first, because I would like to go to bed before 1 a.m. That's the goal.
All right. That is the goal.
I'm giving us an hour.
Okay.
And then my butt is going to bed and you can finish the podcast without me.
Alrighty, guys.
All right.
Well, double feature from Carson. Speaking of features, let's feature some
creatures. And the one and only shining light is, for once, for the first and only time since the institution of this podcast, I didn't bring in a novel book report.
I can contest. I can confirm this, guys.
She light, which is for the best, honestly.
It's some light reading.
But good content, nonetheless.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, you want me to start us off?
Go.
So, if you recall last time, we drew the Seven of Swords, which represents, like, deceit and trickery and, like, manipulation and all that good stuff. So, I wanted to find a creature that represented this energy. And actually, I think more or less I've connected our tarot card to, for sure, to maybe all three of our topics this month. So I think I did it right.
Alrighty.
But we are going to talk about a folkloric mythical creature that disguises itself as a human or another living being to deceive others.
Ooh.
And as a D&D human, I think you will appreciate this particular creature because they are quite common, I would say, or at least frequently involved in D&D campaigns.
Oh, I'm so excited.
We're going to talk about mimics.
Yes! Mimics!
Yes, and I'm going to touch on mimics in the D&D sense because they're slightly different than mimics in the paranormal sense, but I'm going to touch on both aspects of this creature. So, yes, mimics are beings that are found across many cultures and often appear in stories involving shapeshifting, supernatural infiltration, or identity theft. Mimics may also imitate individuals to gain trust, to prey upon victims, or to conceal their true nature. Unlike creatures that naturally change form, such as werewolves or metamorphic spirits, mimics specifically defined by their intent to impersonate others, often with malicious or deceptive purposes. They are characterized by the ability to take on a convincing appearance of a person, animal, or familiar figure. Mm-hmm. In most stories, they appear nearly identical to their target, though the disguise may be just slightly imperfect.
Yep, they're just a little off.
Yeah. You can often spot these imperfections through odd behaviors, speech patterns, or slight physical anomalies that hint at their true identity. And the presence of a mimic in a community typically leads to fear, paranoia, mistrust, especially when the creature is indistinguishable from the people it mimics. Mm-hmm. And they are often linked to themes of the uncanny, the erosion of identity, and the fear of others hiding in plain sight.
Mm-hmm. Love it.
So, as I was researching, I found there are four kind of notable examples of mimics in folklore from around the world. In Germany, they are called the doppelganger.
Yep.
And these originate in German folklore. They are a supernatural double of a living person, seen as an ill omen with the appearance of one's own doppelganger, sometimes being interpreted as a sign of imminent death or misfortune. So I don't want to meet your doppelganger.
Funny though, I've actually met two of my doppelgangers.
Well, she's still kicking, y'all.
Yep, I'm still alive, or am I? Doo-doo-doo. But yeah, one I met when I was...
Maybe you are the doppelganger.
Maybe I am. One I met in high school, and it was a visiting gymnastics team that was like in the next town over, but they didn't have a gym to practice in over the summer. So they came to practice at our gym, and I walked in, and they all just stared at me, and I was like, what's going on? They're like, you look just like Devin! And then Devin wasn't there that day. But then Devin was there in the next practice, and we both looked at each other. It was like the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap, like, identical.
Maybe one of your parents has a child they don't know about.
And then I met the other one in college, and she lived like 2 dorms down from me, and people kept mixing us up all the time, and we actually started calling each other twins.
I love that. I've been told many times that there's someone in Duluth who looks like they've asked, like the same, many times people have approached me asking me if I'm this person. Mm-hmm. And it's always the same name. So I'm assuming we look a lot alike. But I have not met this person, so I'm still good.
Maybe one day.
I don't want to. I'm going to die.
Why don't you want to meet them?
Well, if this is true, I don't want to keel over just yet. I got stuff I got to do first. Books to write and concerts to see and chihuahuas to snuggle.
Valid.
Anyway, so unlike some mimics, doppelgangers may not directly interact with others, but instead will silently follow or appear to those they mimic. And in some tales, they will assume the person's identity entirely, causing confusion and disruption. The North American version of this is a name I'm not going to speak aloud because in certain cultures, speaking it aloud is A, disrespectful to that culture, and B, can call one to you. Oh. So we're going to call them flesh pedestrians for the sake of this story.
Not those guys. Mm-hmm. No.
Yes.
No.
That's why I said we're not gonna call them by their name because we don't need any visitors. But these flesh pedestrians are shape-shifting beings from the traditional beliefs of some Native American cultures, particularly the Navajo culture. They are known as, again, I will attempt to speak this correctly, but I do not speak Navajo. Ye Naldlushli, And the creature is said to be a witch who can assume the form of animals or, in some versions, humans. Flesh pedestrians are associated with dark magic and are feared as malevolent beings capable of deception, mimicry, and harm. Though often portrayed in modern media as general shapeshifters, traditional beliefs emphasize their role as a taboo figure tied to evil practices, which is why it's considered bad form or not good to speak their name aloud.
You don't want to draw attention to it and kind of feed into their energy.
Yes. So we give them the nickname of flesh pedestrian. And you can infer from there what I'm talking about. Going back to Europe, another common mimic is the changeling, which is a creature found in European folklore throughout various different countries, also known as an off or oath. According to tradition, a changeling is a supernatural substitute left in place of a human being, often a child, who has been abducted by fairies or other mythical beings. The substitute may be magically duplicate, made to resemble that person, sometimes crafted from wood or other materials, or maybe a supernatural being themselves disguised as the human. And then lastly, in kind of more urban legend form, we have what's called false humans. These are beings that appear human but are subtly wrong in appearance or behavior, including entities like black-eyed children, which I spoke about in a previous
I remember that.
Episode, and humanoid aliens or android-like imposters. These are typically described in anonymous encounter stories, and these figures evoke unease through their mechanical speech, lack of emotion, or strange physical features, like the black eyes. They are found in cities and throughout digital lore online and reflect kind of the contemporary version of mimics.
Kind of like an amalgamation of different versions of the story meshed into one a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. So mimics have inspired lots of depictions in horror, science fiction, fantasy, stories involving creatures that take the place of humans, such as Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1956, or The Thing from 1982.
Oh my god, that movie messed me up when I was in high school. I was like, ah!
Yeah, it's wild. But they're also quite common in gaming and fiction, and the term mimic is used for monsters that disguise themselves as inanimate objects, such as treasure chests or furniture, particularly in like Dungeons and Dragons or similar role-playing games.
Yes.
Legends of these doppelgangers have persisted for centuries, making them a significant part of paranormal folklore. And according to lore, they are closely related to ghosts, while sharing some traits commonly associated with demons due to their unpredictable and chaotic nature. But unlike simple shape-shifting entities, mimics have an unnerving capacity to imitate. They're just better at it.
Yep.
So I did look up some D&D stuff. I didn't bring a sheet this time because I figured you've probably seen it at this point.
Yes.
But I did look up a few of their powers and abilities from a D&D website.
Love it.
So for those of you that aren't familiar with Dungeons & Dragons like myself, despite someone's best efforts.
I will get you into this game.
We will talk about a upcoming opportunity that may feature this exact thing. So their powers and abilities are enhanced durability, invisibility, mind reading, object manipulation, which I think is pretty obvious, shape-shifting, and it says, in relation to the role-playing world, the mimic is an iconic figure of the modern fantasy genre, often disguising itself as a treasure chest to tempt and ensnare its adventurers and turn them into a meal. It was first shown in D&D in 1977, and then again in Dark Souls, which came out in 2011. And arguably its less predatory fashion is the luggage from Discworld that came out in 1986. So, what do you do if you encounter one of these creatures in real life? I can't speak to the D&D side of things. I'm sure there's some sort of role or spell you can perform.
Yes. You can either try and perform... If you happen to be ensnared by one, you can try and do a strength check to break out of its jaws. Or if you're kind of in the midst of it, you can try and cast a spell to kind of force yourself out or force it off of you. But it's kind of hit or miss.
Can I bite it back?
You can certainly try.
Because that would be my
instinct. You can roll for that.
That would be my instinct.
Yeah, roll a bite attack.
But if you were to encounter one IRL, say one of these flesh pedestrians we spoke of earlier, the best way to avoid further attention or distress from a mimic is simply to pretend they do not exist. you ignore them.
Mm-hmm.
Do not respond to them. Walk away if you are able. And like many spirits, the more energy you put into them, the more energy they have to unleash upon you.
Makes sense.
So if they persist, there are rituals, specifically in the pagan and Wiccan belief systems, that you can perform to encourage one of these creatures to leave you be. But they are complicated.
Yeah.
But in general, your best bet is that if you believe you experienced something that isn't what it's supposed to be, just pretend you didn't.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we're gonna put a pin in it.
We're just gonna go this way.
It's like, did you see that?
Nope.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't. It's that traditional approach of the Appalachian people of the, if you see it, no, you didn't. If you hear it, no, you didn't.
There's this line from Fantastic Mr. Fox where his wife like catches Mr. Fox and the badger after going to dinner. He's like, if I think it's happening, what I think it's happening, it better not be.
Yeah.
It's exactly that.
So there, that is Mimics. Short, sweet,
I love
intriguing.
I love it. Kane has definitely put a couple of mimics into some of our campaigns, and a few campaigns ago, I actually got to keep a mimic as a pet.
Ooh.
Because the party had gone into a dungeon. One of my party members decided to cast Fireball in the midst of all this.
That's a good choice.
Without checking the room size. Check the room size before you cast Fireball, guys. So after they cast that, my character wanted to still get the treasure chest. So thus I grabbed it while it was being like scorched, ran out with it. Turns out the treasure chest was a mimic, but it was so grateful to me that I saved it from the flames that I did a animal friendship check and it became a pet.
I love that.
I named him Bam Bam. Full name was Bamboozle, Bam Bam for short.
I love this.
And he would shift into a hat that had just some eyes that looked a little off, and I wore him around like that. And every once in a while, if someone was pissing me off, he would just...
I love this. I love this for you.
Yes, it was great. Bam Bam was a great character.
I don't want to meet a Bam Bam in real life, though.
No, probably not.
But I would say, on a boop to snoot scale, mimics are not high up there. They are cute.
Nope.
But I'm not booping any snoots.
They can be cute depending on what
Depending on what they're imitating. Yeah.
Depending on what they are.
But
so.
in the images from D&D that I saw, they're kind of adorable. They're just like teeth. But I'm not booping that snoot.
No, that's a 2.
It's like a 2, yeah.
It's a 2.
I'd say 2, maybe 3, depending on what it's imitating. All right. Well, what creature have you brought for me tonight?
So, we are getting very classical with this creature. Ooh. And it's so funny that you mentioned changelings. Oh. Because they are a type of fairy.
They truly are.
And we're getting into fairies today.
She was a fairy.
She was a fairy.
Love that.
Yes, my obsession with fairies started when I was very young. Like, it started off with the Tooth Fairy. I was fully invested in that, like, straight up. I thought the Tooth Fairy was real, and I thought she was the most wonderful thing in the world because, I kid you not, after my second tooth came out, I was not left $1 like people usually are, or like a quarter or money. I was left Babe, Pig in the City. The VHS.
That's a classic.
Classic
move to the fairy.
So happy. And I thought, oh my goodness, if I lose like more teeth, maybe I'll get more movies or more books.
Tries you went in there with pliers yanking things out.
No, I was chicken shit. Just the one time. So
she built you up and then she let you down.
I know. But that's where the obsession kind of began. And continued on to about age 7 when I found this book at an antique shop called More Silver Pennies by Blanche Jennings Thompson. It was this super cute little book, like, cute. It was probably like maybe a quarter of the size of your laptop. It was just adorable. It's one of 2 books written by Thompson in 1925 and 1930 that contain, it's vintage.
I love that.
It contains several short poems about fairies and children's whimsical adventures to fairyland. The art is adorable. It depicts lots of different fairies and the activities they like to do, such as painting, interacting with animals, or just being a little mischievous.
Love it.
And then the title is a nod to the author's lore, meaning you need a silver penny to enter fairyland. Yeah. So the first book was just called Silver Pennies, and then the sequel was titled More Silver Pennies. I can never find the first one though. I'm sure there's versions of it.
Somewhere.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere out in the world. I just don't want to buy it off eBay. I want to find it like naturally.
IRL.
It's more whimsical that way.
I like it.
So, in addition to this book of poems, I had Fairyopolis, Flower Fairies Journal. It was a beautifully illustrated peek into the world of fairies. It was interactive, with envelopes to open that had secret letters, film negatives, and secret messages to decode. It was like super cool, fun little drawings.
Love that.
Like, look how cute that was. It was like a field guide, like a little field journal. Someone might go.
I think I've seen this before at some point in my life. It's pulling up a vague memory.
It was a big book. It was very similar to like those dragonology books and like or encyclopedia ones, like focus around like magical mythical beings.
Cute.
So I had that I was constantly reading and lugging around. And one of my favorite movies around that time was A Fairy Tale, A True Story. This was filmed back in 1997.
Very cute movie.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You've seen it? It's so cute.
I also had a fairy phase. I was obsessed with Ferngully as a child.
Yeah.
And Tinkerbell.
The name is Batty.
Yeah.
It's Radic.
One day I will dress up as Batty.
Yes.
But today is not that day.
No, not today.
Today I'm going to listen to you talk about fairies while I eat kettle corn.
I love it.
So if you hear crunching, sorry.
Not sorry.
Not sorry. I'm hungry.
So, Fairy Tale, A True Story tells the story of the Cottingley Fairies, a real-life case of two young English girls, Elsie Wright and Frances Griffiths, who took photographs appearing to show fairies in the early 20th century. It also did not help that around this time is when Disney launched their Pixie Hollow line of books, shows, and dolls that expanded on Tinkerbell and her friends on Neverland before she met Peter Pan. So you bet your ass I had every single one of those books.
Oh, yeah.
I had all the movies as they came out and a bunch of the dolls mixed in with my Polly Pockets because they were the exact same size.
Love that.
And I only mutilated one of my Polly Pockets by hot gluing a set of wings to them.
I mean, you call it mutilation. I call it enhancement.
I call it mutilation because after I hot glued it on, I realized I couldn't get majority of the Polly Pockets rubber clothes on because the wings were in the way.
Wow.
So this little fairy was like flying around naked half the time.
In the world of Supernatural, tiny nipples.
Tiny nipples. But like, look how freaking cute these books were. Like, what 8, 9, 10-year-old would not be obsessed with these? I had all of them. It was great. So fun. Well, thus far I've only given some very fun and lighthearted version of fairies. But in other lore, there are some fairies that are not so kind or benevolent, which we're going to explore a little bit.
Love it.
I'm going to focus specifically on Scottish, Gaelic, European Fae lore, because that's the most
well-known.
Yeah, most well-known, it's most popular, and it's one of my favorites, because there's a couple authors that I absolutely love and adore, and they all base their stories around Scottish and, like, English folklore, around, like, fairies and the Fae. That's where I get a lot of my inspiration from at times. So, important thing to know with the Fae, or the fairy folk, they kind of split into two factions, if you will. They have the Seelie and the Unseelie. The nature of the fairy folk can't be divided into super strict categories, as they can kind of shift and flow. Like, people, even good persons have a little bit of bad in them. They do bad deeds.
A little good, a little evil.
Exactly. Yin and yang. All that good jazz. Some cultures have tried to label them and define them. In Scottish and Northern English folklore, the Seelie court is the mostly good or benevolent fairies, while the Unseelie court is made of harmful fairies that tend to be malevolent towards humans, more so than the Seelie court. Fun fact, the word Seelie means happy or lucky, and is the word from which silly is derived.
Cool. I love that.
So if someone is saying you're acting silly, you can smile and just think, oh, you've just been called a fairy. People astray with illusions.
Will-o-wisps.
Mm-hmm. They like to ruin food. Dangerous to humans is because they don't adhere to human rules. They don't follow our logic on ethics or morals. They have their own set of rules that they go by, which on this plane of existence may seem very gray. The Fae Folk enjoy playing tricks on humans. It seems no matter the type of class of fairy, they are capricious at their core. Look at me using big words again.
I'm so proud of you.
I know. Even the Scottish household fae, the brownie, will turn malevolent towards humans if angered. They will play nasty tricks on their house and all who live in it. And those cute little pixies that drop fairy dust behind them, while they can be helpful to deserving individuals, they are known to pinch and kick lazy humans or anyone they feel like that state they can't tell lies. However, there is nothing stopping them from skirting around the truth or simply rebutting your question with another question. So they're very good at wordsmithing and being like sneaky. It's funny that we were talking about changelings and that I picked this because I just finished rereading one of my favorite books, The Heir to Seven Waters by Juliet Marillier.
You told me about this book. It sounds really good.
Yeah, she's one that is very much inspired by the Fae and Scottish lore. It's so good. Her stories and world that she builds, it's just so deep. Like, she really makes these layers of these characters that are multifaceted, and you think one character's gonna do one thing, and then they flip the script and do another, and then you learn why, and you're like, whoa.
My favorite books from when I was like a young adult were the Cassandra Clare's Mortal Instruments, and she's a very deep connection to a lot of Fae lore in that as well, and talks about like the Seelie court, and you meet the Seelie queen, and it's really well done.
Yeah, it's so fun. But in this book, the main character, Clodagh, and her friend Cohal, they have to venture into the other world to venture her baby brother because he was switched and kidnapped by by a fairy lord with a changeling.
Yeah, right.
Now, I'm not going to give away all the secrets in case someone wants to read it, but there is a twist in it involving a rhyme that involves some trickery. Set your foot inside the door, and you'll be mine forevermore. So, there's a little plug to read some Juliet Marillier. Read it in order though, because it just adds to it. And The Heir to Seven Waters is the 4th book in her series. There's 6 in this line of books for life stories. So there is ways to keep yourself safe from fairies' manipulations or trickeries. If you ever find yourself crossing paths with a fairy, these are things to keep in mind. Be respectful and polite. Show good manners and avoid being boastful or rude. The key to a healthy relationship, this is very important, to keep a healthy relationship with the Fae. Don't say thank you. According to some lore, fairies find being thanked insulting, as if they're a servant.
Oh, that makes sense.
So instead, you should express your gratitude through an offering or by saying something like, I am honored. It's like, oh, you're...
Show appreciation rather than thanks.
Exactly.
I like that.
Exactly. Never accept gifts freely. Accepting a gift from a fairy can put you in their debt. If you are offered one, clarify the terms of the exchange first. What do they want in return? Always keep your word. Do not make a promise to a fairy that you cannot or do not intend to keep. Lying to them can lead to severe consequences. Don't spy on them. Fairies are private creatures and do not like to be watched. And looking for them can be considered a major offense. If they want to be seen or if they want to interact with you, they will make themselves known. Don't go butting into their business.
That's about right.
And lastly, leave fairy rings alone. Never enter a fairy ring or a circle of mushrooms without permission, as they are considered portals to the fairy world.
Alright. I like it.
So watch out for fairies.
Well, before we dive into our next category, shall we talk about what's happening next month?
Yeah.
Yes. I kind of hinted at this during my creature feature because I kept hearing things that reminded me of something that's happening. But we hinted a little at this in our last episode that we're going to do something special for our 1-year anniversary.
Special.
A live stream.
It's gonna be live on Halloween Eve.
Yes, on Halloween, 8 p.m. After all the trick-or-treaters leave my house, so they won't be dogs going bananas every time someone comes to the door. We are going to do a live podcast. We have decided to even go above and beyond. And so we are going to focus on our favorites of each category. So our favorite cryptid of all time. For the What in the World, we're going to bring in the true crime story that got us interested in true crime in the first place.
What
then,
corrupt the minds?
Yes. For Spooky Spotlight, we're going to find our favorite ghost story.
Woohoo!
Our favorite ghost lore.
I'm so excited.
I'm super excited. It's probably going to be long, but we are going to be playing a little game.
We got some fun things for you guys.
We have created a bingo board that we'll be sharing on the Instagrams and whatnots, the socials, closer to probably about a week beforehand, in which you can mark off when we do silly things, such as when Carson tries to convince me to join D&D, or when I make inappropriate jokes.
Yeah. We should have put multiple squares for that one.
They only get one, okay? And there's even one on there for if one of my dogs barks, because we will be doing this at my house. My dogs will probably make their presence known, if not audibly. They will probably show up on the live stream at one point, because they're chihuahuas and they don't have boundaries.
No. They push it with me, but Auntie Carson lays on the law. Auntie
Carson has good boundaries with them. They don't respect my boundaries because I am mama and therefore I belong to them. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you do get a bingo, we have some stickers we might be sharing with some people. Woo-hoo. So that could be fun. Could win a sticker. A special made custom Weird Shit Wednesday water bottle sticker. Whoop, whoop, whoop. They're pretty sweet. If I do say so myself, I designed them. So yeah, there's lots of fun to be had coming your way.
Woohoo! We get to celebrate us being 1 year old.
And you get to see completely how unhinged we actually are when recording this, because I added a lot of shit out.
Yeah, so buckle in. Buckle up, buckaroos.
Buckle in. Well, shall we buckle in for my What in the World?
Yes.
Alright, so I went a little true crimey myself. For this one as well. Again, tying back to our tarot card, I thought of like deceit and misinformation, and whether it be kind of the like recent publicity that this story has gotten in the last couple years, but or just kind of the fact that I've recently seen a lot of information on it. We are going to talk about the mysterious case of Natalia Grace.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I love this story. There's so many.
It's wild.
There's so many different perspectives to it, and like there's been the documentary. There's also been the Lifetime drama of it,
and now there's a Hulu miniseries with Ellen Pompeo, thank you, that played Meredith in Grey's Anatomy. Yes, so there's a lot of coverage on this, so I'm not going to go super deep in, because I think a lot of people at least know the basics, but I wanted to kind of more or less go step by step on the different major events that happened and give you a little bit of background, and then we can decide together by the end who we think is telling the truth.
Yeah,
it's a wild story. If you haven't seen the documentary, go watch it.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I think I know who is telling the truth based on some of the evidence that is given, but at the same time, it's like,
I do know there is new evidence that's come out in the last 3 years.
Okay.
That I will wait to tell you until you tell me your guess.
Okay.
So, like I said, I feel most people in the true crime world have at least known of this story, but I want to dive a little bit into like the media coverage of it and kind of, like I said, make our own conclusions. So, Natalia Grace Renee Mons, also known as Natalia Natasha Vadnivna Gava, was born on September 4th, 2003, formerly known as Natalia Lawrence Saccone or Natalia Grace Bartnett. She was a Ukrainian-born American with dwarfism who was adopted by an American family at the age of 7 in 2010, but was allegedly abandoned 3 years later. Christine and Michael Barnett, her adoptive parents, claimed that Natalia was an adult, and in 2012, they successfully sought a court order legally changing her birth year from 2003 to 1989, which would make her the same age as me.
That's insane.
If that's accurate. Yeah. I'm going to skip this part because this gives you something information. This is from, but there is a update from 2003 that we'll talk about. Mm-hmm. Barnett is the subject of 2 television series, The Curious Case of Natalia Grace, a docuseries, and the new Hulu dramatization, The Good American Family.
Yeah, that was the name of it. I couldn't remember.
Born with dystrophic dysplasia, which is a type of dwarfism, Natalia Grace was first adopted from the Ukraine by a New Hampshire couple in 2008 and brought to the U.S. at that time. Mm-hmm. By 2010, the couple had put Natalia back up for adoption, stating multiple issues with behavior. She was reported to be very aggressive and combative and just difficult to manage. Mm-hmm. She also had a significant amount of health problems that were very financially taxing. Yeah. She was then adopted by the Barnetts and taken to Hamilton County, Indiana to live, according to court records. When she came to live with the Barnetts, Natalie's birth certificate stated she was born in 2003, but her adoptive parents quickly claimed certain behaviors and physicalities made them doubt her age. They also argued that Natalia began to demonstrate threatening behaviors towards them and their 3 biological children. Over the next 2 years, the Barnetts had Natalia psychologically and physically examined by various health services, and led to the couple petitioning an Indiana court to legally change Natalia's birth year from 2003 to 1989 based on the assessments of a primary care physician and a social worker. 11 days later, after this hearing to change her birth certificate, without any evidentiary hearing and without supplying Natalia a guardian representative, the court granted the Barnetts request. Mm-hmm. Natalia was not present during these proceedings and informed of the change while hospitalized at a nearby facility.
That's so bizarre.
Yeah. It's wild. Following the change to her birth year, her adoptive parents moved her into an apartment and helped her obtain disability payments. So they basically got her an apartment, moved her in, set her up with disability, and left her. Mm-hmm. Shortly after, child safety authorities received a report that Natalia was an abandoned child by a local couple that lived in the same building as her and were kind of helping her along. Mm-hmm. An investigation was opened and ultimately discarded due to the legal change in her birth year, mm-hmm. stating that she was an adult. Right. The Barnetts moved Natalia into a different apartment, away from the couple that was helping her.
Because people were asking too many questions.
Uh-huh. Paying for 1 year's rent, but did not provide any additional financial support, before they themselves moved to Canada with their biological children.
Ah.
Yes. This would be one of the last times Natalia saw the Barnetts. Shortly after they moved to Canada, Natalia befriended a couple named Antoine and Cynthia Mans, and soon moved in with them. From 2014 to 2017, the Mans attempted to rectify Natalia's situation by applying for guardianship. Michael Barnett filed an objection to this request, citing Natalia's age change order, with the court's suggestion that the Mans reverse the order before attempting to apply for guardianship again. Then, for 2.5 years, things went relatively quiet until September of 2019, when Christine and Michael Barnett were both charged with neglect in separate court cases over their treatment of Natalia. Less than 2 weeks later, the charges went public, and the Barnetts, who by then were divorced, went on a media frenzy. Mm-hmm. They just started doing interviews like crazy. In an interview with the Daily Mail, Christine claimed that she became suspicious of Natalia's age after she saw that she had pubic hair, and also assumed that Natalia had already started menstruating. Mind you, she would have been 10 at the time, yeah. So this is possible.
It's probable.
It's not likely. It's not common.
Yeah, it's not common.
But there are girls of that age that have hit puberty. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Christine claimed that Natalia was violent and tried to hurt her sons and herself, including trying to push her into an electric fence and standing over her with knives. Again, typical behavioral disorders of children who have history of trauma. Mm-hmm. Michael repeated claims that Natalia was violent, including placing thumbtacks around the house for them to step on, in an October 2019 interview with Good Morning America. He appeared twice on the Dr. Oz show and once on Inside Edition, as well as on various news outlets in the Indianapolis television market. Mm-hmm. Due to the overwhelming media attention, a local judge issued a gag order on Christine and Michael on October 20th, 2019. A month later, Natalia conducted a TV interview of her own with Dr. Phil, where she denied all claims that she tried to harm the Barnetts or their sons. Michael Barnett was acquitted of neglect charges by an Indiana jury in 2022. And during the trial, prosecutors argued that the Barnetts abandoned Natalia in a second-floor apartment where she was unable to navigate the stairs and was without a walker or wheelchair or any knowledge of the city. She testified that she learned nearly everything about life, including how to read, write, and wash her hair from the man's family. However, the defense successful argued that Natalia, quote, wanted nothing to do with the Barnetts. She had moved on. 3 weeks before Kristen Barnett's trial was set to start, her charges were dismissed, having the county prosecutor cite, quote, insufficient evidence. And she continued to interview with People magazine in January 2025, was her most recent interview, Natalia's, stating that she, quote, escaped the man's home in 2023 after they became controlling and restrictive of who she was able to talk to. She now lives with friends, a married couple named Nicole and Vincent DePaul, who also have dwarfism, and their family as well, and is currently studying to get her high school diploma.
Good for her.
Her last quote says, quote, it is a blessing to be alive today because looking back, I should have been dead, she says. So, there have been a lot of speculations. There's also a lot of connections to the 2009 film The Orphan that comes up, which is not exactly the same story, but like a very similar...
It's very loose, and it's very similar, because... remind me when that movie came out. It was like 2012.
2009.
Okay, I was going to say 12,
yeah.
So I'm a couple years off, so... Yeah, if it came out in 2009, Natalia, if we went off of her birth year of 2003...
she would be 6. Yeah.
So, and at that point, she would not have even been in the country.
Correct. But she stated, and it does say here that she stated in an interview that she believes that's where the Barnetts got the idea from.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And that might be the connection. But, so my question is, what do you think is the truth?
I think she was a child, because based on some of the, I'm sure you're going to mention this, I don't want to spoil it, but I remember seeing there was evidence that one, they found her birth mom, and birth mom was able to confirm that that was the year she was born in a Ukrainian hospital, and they did something like a genetic test that could track something with your biological development.
Yes,
to prove her age.
Are correct.
Yay!
So in 2023, they did a DNA test that could conclusively determine her age. And she was found to have been born in 2003. And her birth certificate has now been officially changed back.
Yay!
So, Natalia Grace was a child the whole time. The Barnetts, regardless of court conclusions, regardless of whether they genuinely believed her to be an adult or not, I can't draw those conclusions. But they did put a child in an apartment and left her.
Yeah.
At the age of 12.
That's insane. I have never seen any of the interviews that Christine has done, any of her interviews, because I've seen the depictions in the Good American Family ones, but the interviews that I saw of Michael, the dad, he definitely has some other issues going on. There is something's not clicking all the way upstairs.
If you think he's a lot, Christine makes him look like an angel in her interviews.
I would imagine. But just based on what I'm seeing, what I saw from, because I know the oldest biological son had severe autism.
Yes.
But was also very gifted in math and science and whatnot. So, autism is
genetic.
Or
at least it can be.
It can be, but It's very strongly.
Mhm.
His,
Quite often very strongly.
quite often very strongly. Seeing that and knowing that and seeing the interviews that Michael has done, I'm like, okay, yep.
There's potentially
there.
undiagnosed stuff going on there.
Yes, there's definitely something undiagnosed there that could make him very easily manipulated by Christine if she saw him as someone that she could force to do his bidding, which was touched on in the documentaries.
So, justice for Natalia.
Justice for Natalia.
But sounds like she's now living a very good life with people who share similar limitations to her. Can maybe help her understand her dwarfism a little bit better and support her through that. So, good on her.
I hope that things are smooth sailing the rest of her days and she can finally put some of this behind her and heal.
Yes.
Because it seems like even though the man's did help her in some ways to at least get out of that apartment stuff, they were not being...
They were very controlling.
They were controlling and not a healthy situation after the fact.
And I can...
Which is unfortunate because I think they officially adopted her.
They didn't officially adopt her. But they took her in. Or at least that's my understanding. And I can kind of see they saw this poor girl going through this horrible situation. Like maybe they were just trying to be protective of her to keep with all the media chaos that was happening. But then it took too far. Yeah, it took it to the extreme because they probably just worried that it was going to get to that point again and just got overbearing to where... So. Which can happen because sometimes you just can't let go of one version or the version you want to take care of or the version you want to see of a person. Yeah. But Natalia is now actually an adult. So she can make her own choices and enjoy her life.
Very cool.
All right. Where are you taking us in the world?
We are also getting into kind of the true crime world a bit as well. We have some trickery and some con artists here.
Love it.
Where this person also actually pretended to be someone they were not.
All right.
Are you familiar with the movie Catch Me If You Can?
I love that movie.
We're talking about that today. Gosh. We are talking about Frank Abagnale Jr.
He's a great one.
Which is said to be one of the greatest con men of our time.
Heck yeah.
I found this wonderful article on All That's Interesting, which kind of gives some nice history as well as some criticism from other people who say that Abagnale's memoir may not be entirely accurate or may be a little facetious.
I mean, he is a con man.
He is a con man, so...
One of the better ones. Why anybody would expect him to be 100% truthful?
Yeah.
I'll be on me.
I don't know. So, this one is a little bit of a longer one, but the article was just so in-depth, I'm like, okay, this is...
Just read away.
Just read away.
All right, bring it on,
Off we go. I was always aware that I was Frank Abagnale Jr., that I was a check swindler and a faker, and if and when I was caught, I wasn't going to win any Oscars. I was going to jail. This is a quote.
Yep.
By his own admission, Frank Abagnale Jr. was a con man. In his memoir, Catch Me If You Can, which is where the movie title comes from, Abagnale describes a life of petty crime at a young age that eventually led to higher risk cons. His most infamous stunt was impersonating a Pan-American World Airways pilot.
That's right.
I
forgot about that part.
Though he claims to have developed innovative methods of forging checks, supposedly enabling him to net himself $2.5 million from various schemes.
Damn, all right.
Right? So he was a very successful con man, according to himself. This all reportedly came to an end after he was caught in 1969 and eventually sentenced to 12 years behind bars.
Damn, okay.
But a few years into his sentence, he said that he was pulled out of prison to help the FBI catch like-minded fraudsters. By 1980, Abagnale had published the semi-autobiographical book, Catch Me If You Can. The successful memoir was later adapted into the hit 2002 movie by the same name, directed by Steven Spielberg and starring Leonardo DiCaprio as Abagnale.
Mm-hmm. And Tom Hanks.
Yep, and Tom Hanks. I forgot that he's in that.
He played the FBI agent that was hunting him down.
Right.
It's a great movie.
It's very good. I want to rewatch that.
Mm-hmm.
I've been described by authorities and news reporters as one of the century's cleverest bum check passers, flim-flam artists, and crooks, a con man of Academy Award caliber. Abagnale wrote of himself in Catch Me If You Can. I was a swindler of posture and poser of astonishing ability. If everything Abagnale wrote about his life is true, then this statement is hard to dispute. But over the years, some critics have cast doubt on his story, with one even alleging that he made most of it up.
Ooh.
So who is Frank Abagnale Jr.? What did he do during his infamous crime spree?
Mm-hmm.
And how much of Catch Me If You Can was real? Frank Abagnale Jr. in 1978. Frank William Abagnale Jr. was born on April 27, 1948, in Bronxville, New York. He was one of 4 children born to Frank Abagnale Sr., a stationary business owner with a penchant for politics, and Paulette Abagnale. This marriage didn't last long, and Frank Jr. was just 12 years old when his parents separated. Their divorce was finalized a few years later. The situation did have its effect on the boys, of course, Frank Jr. recalled. Me, in particular, I loved my dad. I was the closest to him, and he commenced to use me in his campaign to win back Mom. According to his memoir, it was during this period that Frank Jr. scammed his first victim, his father. When he was 15, his father gave him a gasoline credit card. Frank Jr. used the card to pay for auto parts, which he returned for cash. He claimed to have run up a bill of $3,400 in 3 months.
Damn, okay.
That's a big ass credit card. I freak out when I use my credit card of over like $500. I'm like, no. He also committed petty crimes like shoplifting, eventually leading to more serious crimes like car theft and impersonating a police officer. I've got a picture of a mugshot from him from one of the first times he was arrested.
Oh my god. He's kind of a cutie.
Yeah. It's got like the
For charming.
long, tall, dark, and handsome
Mm-hmm.
look about him. At one point, Abagnale said that he was sent to a private school for problem boys in Fort Chester, New York. He also claimed to have attended Iona Preparatory School in New Rochelle, New York, until he was 16. But science journalist and author Alan C. Logan, who investigated Abagnale in the 2020 book The Greatest Hoax on Earth, Catching Truth While We Can, says there's no evidence in the school's yearbook or from alumni to confirm this. So Logan is the main critic who I'll be quoting throughout this article and referencing back to. But while potentially lying about his high school education is a minor detail in the grand scheme of things, it could raise questions about other aspects of Abagnale Jr.'s story, including his most infamous scheme. The impersonating of a Pan Am airline pilot. I know. The most infamous chapter of Frank Abagnale Jr.'s life started when he was just 16 or 17. He obtained a Pan American World Airways pilot uniform and created a fake airline ID. By that point, he had been told that he looked older than his real age, which likely made his impersonation more believable. I remember in the movie, he obtained it by saying he was going to be a school reporter, and like asking the pilot like questions like, "Oh, can I take a picture of this?" And the guy was like, "Oh, you can have this. It's expired." So he used that to make a copy or make a fake ID. In 1965, he made a big show out of informing Mount Vernon news outlets that he had graduated from a piloting academy, only to be arrested for forging checks shortly thereafter. But his ongoing legal troubles did little to change his mind about the whole pretending to be a pilot scheme. Obviously, Abagnale could not fly a plane. And fortunately for his scheme to work, he didn't have to. It all came down to two things: the uniform and the airlines industry deadheading system, a practice where off-duty pilots and crew members were given free rides to reposition them for upcoming flights. So say if someone is currently in Santa Fe, that's in Texas, right? I don't know. New Mexico. Clearly I did not do super well in geography. Santa Fe, New Mexico, but they needed to fly a plane out of Pennsylvania. They
get a free flight.
They get a free flight to Pennsylvania, so they can
makes sense.
fly their plane. As Abagnale recalled, there is enchantment in a uniform, especially one that marks the wearer as a person of rare skills, courage, or achievement. He presented himself as a Pan Am pilot needing to travel for work, allowing him to hitch rides in the jump seats of various planes. This not only granted him free transportation, but also access to hotels and other amenities that were specifically reserved for airline staff. Supposedly, Abagnale visited over 80 countries during this scheme, all without ever operating an aircraft, though he did flip on the autopilot when asked to take control. That is, of course, according to his own account. So he could just be bullshitting that.
Yeah.
Alan C. Logan, our critic, on the other hand, acclaimed that he examined public records and old newspaper articles and interviewed people who spoke about their encounters with Abagnale. A different story has played out. What really happened was that, dressed as a TWA, Trans World Airlines pilot, which he only did for a few weeks, Abagnale befriended a flight attendant called Paula Parks, Alan C. Logan stated. He followed her all over the eastern seaboard, identified her work schedule through deceptive means, and essentially stalked the woman.
That's creepy.
A little bit. Speaking to the New York Post, Paula Parks Campbell recalled that when Abagnale met her family in Baton Rouge, they, quote, fell in love with him. Despite her feeling uneasy that he seemed to be following her from airport to airport. She also said that Abagnale stayed with her family for 6 weeks while supposedly on furlough, and then stole $1,200 from her family before leaving.
Jesus.
Like, what the heck, dude? I don't know what kind of sweet talking he was able to do, but
That's a lot of money.
yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah, especially in like the 1960s when it was happening. Yeah, it's a lot of money now, but dang. He said he never hurt little people, he just went after big businesses. She said, That's the one that sticks in my craw. My mama's heart was broken. Check fraud, close calls, and a famous arrest flying for free, and receiving... I'm going to redo that because my headline just got blurred into one sentence. So, next section. Check fraud, close calls, and a famous arrest. Flying for free and receiving airline-funded accommodations were certainly valuable perks of the con, but they didn't exactly earn Frank Abagnale Jr. a paycheck. After all, he wasn't actually an employee of Pan Am.
No.
Or any airline, for that matter. Oh, that'd be nice. Like, oh, I'm just going to fly around, but still get money. Yeah, so we had to come up with another way to make some money. It's a scientific fact that the bumblebee can't fly either, but he does, and he makes a lot of honey on the side, Abagnale later wrote. And that's what I intended to be, a bumblebee in Pan Am's honey hive.
Sucker bumblebees can fly.
Yeah.
That's a stupid quote.
I think it's a reference to where people, like scientists, are kind of like baffled about the fact that honeybees can fly because their wing size is disproportionate to their body mass. So
sense.
in theory, they in all like physics and probability, they should not be able to. So I think that's what he's referencing.
That makes sense.
Posing as a pilot did at least make him seem more credible when he approached banks and businesses with fraudulent checks. He claimed that he cashed out about 17,000 bogus checks totaling $2.5 million.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot. I wonder what span of time he was able to do that, if it was over a couple months or a couple years.
That said, his con wasn't airtight, and he had several close calls. Sometimes he said he would opt for different disguises, impersonating a lawyer, a sociology professor, and a doctor at various points in time. I made a lot of exits through side doors, down fire escapes, and over rooftops. He later reflected on his crime spree. I abandoned more wardrobes in the course of 5 years than most men acquire in a lifetime. I was slippier than a buttered escargot. That's a comparison.
mental image.
I'm like, okay, that's a choice. His luck seemed to run out, however, in 1969 when he was arrested in Montpellier, France. By that point, he was wanted for a number of crimes both in France and Sweden, including fraud and theft. By the time he was 21, Abagnale says his capture had brought his screams. Brought his schemes to an end. But of course, the story doesn't end there. Abagnale served time both in France and Sweden before being deported to the United States, where he was sentenced in 1971 to 12 additional years in a federal penitentiary for fraud. But Abagnale says the government eventually pulled him out of prison before his sentence was over to work for the FBI.
Wild.
Mm-hmm. Today, Abagnale claims to have had a relationship with the FBI for more than 40 years. However, there is no evidence to support this claim, asserts Logan. Meanwhile, the FBI itself has no comment on the matter.
Of course they don't.
Of course they don't. They never have a comment on anything.
Nope.
According to Abagnale Jr., he has said that the movie Catch Me If You Can is about 80% accurate, but some critics have raised serious doubts about this claim. There is at least some information about Frank Abagnale Jr. since his 1969 arrest that can be confirmed. In 1976, he founded a security consulting firm called Abagnale and Associates, which focuses on topics like fraud prevention, secure documents, and how to secure documents.
Ironic.
Very ironic. He's like, I'm going to use my skills that I use to trick people and teach people how to do it safely.
Alright.
But also, like, who better to teach you how
I mean,
to
it
do
makes
it?
sense, but also it's just funny.
It is quite funny. He's also authored books on fraud prevention, such as The Art of the Steal and Stealing Your Life.
Interesting.
Like, I'm curious to find one of these books and just peruse it. While the FBI has never made an official statement about while the FBI has never made an official statement about what Abagnale has or hasn't done for them, he has given some lectures at the Academy.
Interesting.
But what about, according to Abagnale himself, the movie is about 80% accurate, with most of the changes having to do with his family life and the specific ways he avoided capture by the authorities. But others have said that the movie was far more based in fantasy than reality, which facts.
That makes more sense.
It's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Of course, they're gonna glam it up a bit. Though it wasn't widely reported decades ago, Abagnale has faced some skepticism about his story ever since he first published his book in 1980. A journalist asked him in 1982 whether he had engaged in deception, to which Abagnale said that if he had, well, then I am the world's greatest con man. As one gentleman said to me, if you didn't do all those things and you've made all this money, you've made advances, royalties, and speaking engagements, then you are in fact the world's greatest con man.
Not wrong.
Of course, the Spielberg film puts much bigger spotlight on his life story, which has opened his narrative up to more scrutiny, especially in the internet age. That said, the most prominent criticisms of years still comes from Alan C. Logan, being the best known thanks to his 2020 book. While it is clear that Abagnale did impersonate a pilot, did forge checks, and was captured by authorities in Europe, Logan says that Abagnale was behind bars for much of the time that he claims to be cashing 17,000 checks. Logan also asserts that Abagnale's time masquerading as a pilot was far shorter than Catch Me If You Can implies, and he couldn't have been on the run as long as he said he was. In short, Logan told Why, I believe that's reporting agency, that he believes Abigail's biggest grift was convincing people that his story was true.
That's hilarious.
It's so insane. So, who knows?
It reminds me of, I'm wondering if you've ever seen the TV show White Collar.
Yes.
Kind of like, I almost wonder if like Neil was a little bit inspired by the Frank Abagnale story.
I would imagine.
Because I can see like some similarities.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Great show though. I love that show.
Yeah, I haven't watched that in years. I should pick that up.
Also, Matt Bomber, just in general. I love Matt Bomber. So, for my spooky spotlight, I was doing some Googling, looking for ghost stories that featured mental manipulation to connect in with our tarot card. When Google AI prompted me with a story. They literally delivered me a story on a silver platter.
Good old AI.
I decided to roll with it. And I tried to do some research as to where this story originated, but was not successful. I found...
Ghost computer.
I don't know. I found this specific story on a website where it had the whole story printed, but there was no author cited, and I could not, by Googling pieces of it, I couldn't find it anywhere else.
Weird.
So
did Google something?
There's multiple. Yeah.
Usually if you Google even like a clip of something, like any book that I think has ever been like published, you can usually Google it and it'll pull it up.
And this would bring up the website where I found this story, but nothing else.
Weird.
And there was other stories of a similar or same title, but were not the same story.
Interesting.
So, who knows? It's a mystery. But we are going to read the story of The House on Blackwood Lane. Here we go. The old house on Blackwood Lane had stood empty for 20 years. Locals whispered stories of previous occupants, a family who vanished without a trace one cold October night. The windows, dark and vacant, seemed to stare out at the world with a silent, knowing malice. Dust motes danced in the infrequent shafts of sunlight that pierced the gloom within like tiny spectral figures. When Liam inherited the house from a distant relative he'd never met, he dismissed the tale as small-town gossip. A fixer-upper, he thought, a chance for a fresh start away from the city's suffocating noise. He arrived on a crisp autumn morning, the air already carrying the scent of decay and damp earth. The house loomed before him, larger and more imposing than the faded photos had suggested. The front door creaked open with a groan that sounded suspiciously like a sigh. Inside, the air was heavy and still, thick with the smell of mildew and something else, something metallic and faintly sweet. A chill that had nothing to do with the outside temperature settled over Liam. He spent the first few days clearing out the accumulated junk of decades, old furniture draped in dust sheets like forgotten ghosts, boxes filled with brittle photographs of smiling faces that seemed to mock the house's current state. As he worked, he noticed things. The floorboards creaked not under his weight, but sometimes when he was standing still. Doors he'd closed would be found ajar hours later. Whispers, faint and indistinct, seemed to drift from empty rooms. He tried to rationalize it. Old houses settle, the wind could catch a door, pipes make strange noises, but the feeling of being watched, of not being alone, grew stronger with each passing day. One night he was woken by a sound from downstairs, a soft, rhythmic tapping. He lay in bed, his heart pounding against his ribs like a trapped bird. Tap, tap, tap. It wasn't the house settling. It was deliberate. He crept from bed, grabbing the heavy flashlight he kept on his nightstand. The tapping stopped the moment his feet touched the cold floorboards. Silence descended, thick and suffocating. He's made his way downstairs, the beam of his flashlight cutting through the oppressive darkness. The living room's empty. The kitchen, too. He checked the back door, locked from the inside. He shined the light into the pantry, the small, dark space, feeling particularly menacing. Nothing. Just as he was about to dismiss it as imagination, a floorboard creaked directly above him. He froze, listening. Another creak, closer this time. It sounded like someone was walking slowly, deliberately across the upstairs hallway. He raced back upstairs, his flashlight beam bouncing wildly. He reached the hallway, shining left to right, empty. Every door was closed. He stood a long time, the silence pressing in on him. Then, from behind the door of the master bedroom, he heard it. A soft, wet thump, followed by a dragging sound. He hesitated, fear gripping him. What was in there? He took a deep breath, his hand trembling as he reached for the doorknob. It was cold to the touch. He pushed the door open slowly. The room was dark, the curtains drawn. He swept the flashlight beam across the space. An unmade bed, a dusty dresser, a rocking chair that swayed gently back and forth, as if someone had just risen from it. And on the floor, near the foot of the bed, was a trail. A dark, viscous trail that snaked across the dusty floorboards and disappeared under the edge of a rug. It looked like blood. Liam stumbled back, a strangled cry escaping his lips. He backed from the room, his eyes fixed on the dark stain. He slammed the door shut and leaned against its frame, gasping for air. He didn't sleep that night. He sat downstairs, the lights on, a heavy object in hand, listening to the house. He heard the creaks, the whispers, the subtle shifts that suggested unseen movement. The next morning, in the harsh light of day, he convinced himself it had been paint, or spilled wine, something mundane. He went back to the bedroom, his heart still unsteady, and pulled back the rug. There was nothing there. The floorboards were old and stained, but there was no fresh trail, no dark, wet mark. He felt a wave of relief, followed by a cold, creeping dread. If it wasn't there now, but he had seen it, what did that mean? That night, the tapping returned. This time, it was at his bedroom door. Tap, tap, tap. Slow and insistent. He didn't move. He just stared at the door, his flashlight clutched in his hand. The tapping continued for a minute, then stopped. He held his breath, listening. A low, guttural growl emanated from the other side of the door. Deep, inhuman, and filled with a chilling hunger. Liam scrambled from bed, his mind racing. He had to get out, now. He grabbed his keys and his phone, his eyes never leaving the door. He crept toward the window, planning to climb out. As his hand touched the latch, the door burst open with a violent crash. He didn't see what was there. The darkness in the hallway seemed to coalesce, to writhe and shift into an impossible shape. He heard a wet, tearing sound, a sound that would forever be seared in memory. The last thing Liam felt was a searing pain and the cold, empty silence of the house on Blackwood Lane settling around him once more. The window stared out, dark and vacant, ready to watch the next story unfold within its walls. Dutsmos danced, and the house waited. The end.
Spooky!
Right? I was genuinely impressed. That's a very well-written story.
That was great. Like, that makes me think of, like, a short story someone would read for, like, a speech competition.
Yeah.
It was very
It
well
gave me,
worded.
like, scary stories to tell in the dark.
Yes.
Like, that same, but, elevated, because it's, like extremely well-written, and, like, you can envision everything,
Yeah.
and, like, the description
Descriptive.
is so good. And I was like, I have no idea where this story came from, but I freaking like it, and I'm rolling with it.
Just, here you go. Ooh,
It was gifted to me by the universe.
while I was, like, getting curled up in my blanket here and you're reading this, I'm like, oh my god, this is really bad that we are now reading these, like, ghost stories.
Right before we go to
Right
bed.
before we go to bed.
Well, you know,
So if we have nightmares, guys,
it's your fault.
yeah, we're gonna blame you guys this time.
Yeah. It's not our fault.
I also have
Alright.
some ghost stories for my spooky spotlight.
Oh, Lord.
Mine's a little more lighthearted.
Okay, good. We can
Because
end
it's
on a
gonna be
lighthearted
ghost
note.
playing pranks.
Oh, I love that.
Gonna be some little trickster ghosts here. I scoured Reddit and I found some silly ones. There
you
wasn't
gotta-
like spooky ones, but I wanted to kind of
Yeah.
go on a light note.
You
little
gotta
bit, so
love
I
a
found some
classic
more.
Reddit.
Yes, I found some more fun.
Beautiful.
Some more lighthearted ones. First one is from Mystic Tree 92.
Awesome. Great name.
Great name. I was like, some people's like Reddit names are just like, that's so nice, that's so cool. I wonder if you came up with it. And I also know some people's are just auto-generated when you make your account. And some people just get some really good names.
There's some good ones.
Alrighty, here we go. The silly story about our missing TV remote. Our only TV is in the living room, and I'm often the last to watch it. My usual routine would be to turn it off,
place the remote on our coffee table, turn off the lights, and head to bed. The next day, my significant other comes home, and we get ready to eat a meal in front of the TV as per usual. But when it came to using the remote, it was missing. We finished our meals and spent the next half hour looking for it everywhere. We checked all around the couch, under it, pulled the pillows and blankets off, moved the cushions, literally checked the cracks and crevices with a flashlight. We then checked the tables, the kitchen, the bedroom, and even the bathroom. I have done this. Like I have
done this.
I have misplaced the remote in the stupidest of places, so I totally get this, especially with my ADHD brain.
Well, not even a remote. Like I've misplaced a random object, and you hunt and it shouldn't be in this place, but I'm gonna look anyway.
Ugh, I get it. We have a tiny apartment, and usually it's very tidy, so its disappearance was super strange. Ended up finally getting a new remote and syncing that to the TV. We didn't bother putting the couch back together.
You know.
Here, you know what? I feel that.
I've been there.
I imagine it's like a couch that's like one that like sits together, but you can also like
Yeah, like a sectional.
Yeah.
You can like pull apart and rearrange. Yeah, that makes sense.
exactly. Here, I would like to mention that we have our sides of the couch, and that one blanket is draped tightly and tucked into like the backboard.
Okay.
So I imagine my surprise when the following day I find the missing remote sitting neatly on the backboard of my significant other's side of the couch, where it would have been under the blanket since we removed it the other day.
Interesting.
We were super confused because we took that couch apart. It was the one place we checked thoroughly, and yet it was just sitting there. We joked that it must have been our ghosts, a whole other story, which I need to dig into their Reddit and find the other one, playing a prank on us. So now we have 2 functioning remotes.
I love that.
I can imagine now they're just sitting on both sides
One
of
on
their
each
couch,
side.
and they're like going back and forth, like fighting over the
Fighting
channel.
over who gets
Like,
what.
click,
Yes.
click,
I love
click,
that.
click, click. That would be quite funny.
That would be very funny.
All right. My next one is from Best Turnover 2102.
Okay then.
I want to know what makes these turnovers the best.
Yeah.
And is it a turnover in like sports lingo or like the pastry?
Exactly. I don't know what it would mean in sports lingo, so I'm gonna
Isn't
go
a
with pastry.
turnover like a something in basketball?
Maybe.
I think I've heard this term. I am not a sports
I
woman.
have no idea. Go
But-
sports.
I think a turnover is like. I watched One Tree Hill. That's the only sports I have for basketball. But I think there's something called a turnover in basketball.
Interesting. If you know what a turnover is, that's
Other
not
than
the
the
pastry. Tell us in the comments. Alrighty. So, Best Turnover 2102. Here is their story. I moved in with my girlfriend a little over a month ago and brought a locket with my late grandfather's picture in it and a necklace that had some of his ashes. He died 5 years ago from lung cancer, and we were really close. Like, I was his favorite grandchild, and I stayed in my grandparents' house every weekend close.
Aww.
Like, oh, grandpapas. He was a very kind and loving man, and was as much of a father to me as my actual dad was. He also loved to joke around and pull little pranks on people when he was alive. Even when I visited him during his last days, he was in a good mood and always made jokes with the nurses in the hospital room. I think he's still at his jokes in the afterlife. A couple days ago, I was getting out of the shower and drying off when our electric toothbrush cleaner turned itself on with no one pushing the button to activate it.
Electric toothbrush cleaner?
Yep. That makes sense because there's like cleaners that you can put the head of the toothbrush in, and it kind of like disinfects the bristles.
Buy new ones.
That's valid. They might have like a fancy, expensive like electric toothbrushes.
My heads are like, I think I get like a 6-pack for like $20 on
Nice.
Amazon.
I'm like, good job keeping your toothbrushes
But hey,
clean.
yeah, way to be cleanly. I like that.
Very cleanly. Good job. I said, hi, Grandpa, after it happened, and told him to please stop pulling brakes when I'm not dressed. And I instantly felt a warm, tingling sensation on my arm as if someone had hugged me.
Aww.
Aw, maybe not.
Maybe not post shower.
Maybe not full of shower. Then yesterday, my girlfriend called me while I was at work to tell me something else had happened. She and her mom got home from running errands, and my daughter's Kindle tablet turned on itself and started playing a Disney movie she was watching before I took her to daycare on full volume.
Wild.
She said it didn't feel malicious, but still freaked her out a little bit. I told her that my grandpa loved to mess with people who were new to our family, and it seems he's still continuing to do it as a ghost.
That's actually kind of adorable.
That's so cute. That was good. I liked it.
It is currently 1:05 a.m. We almost made it,
Yeah,
but we did it.
we did it. We don't have any tarot cards with us.
We also don't need them for next month.
Nope.
But do come join us for our live stream. Details to come more closely to the time.
Keep your eyes peeled for that fancy bingo card.
Check the socials. And until next time, I've been Kelly.
I've been Carson.
I'm fucking tired.
Good night.
Good fucking night. Keep it weird.